41 now, and I've lost over 100 people. When I was in active addiction, I lost my roommate, who was one of my best friends. And for a while after then, I tried so hard to not use. I wanted to honor him. I wanted to honor his loss. I wanted to make it mean something. And I didn't get any support. I didn't have anybody to talk to. And I still was around the same people and in the same environment that I had been using in. So sobriety didn't last long. And I don't think I ever got into a place of recovery at that time. When I went back to using, I felt so much guilt that I had survived and he hadn't. And it was something that I really struggled with, and that I used in order to not have to think about how painful that was. It took me finding recovery to find a way to stop stuffing all of the grief and just using, so that I wouldn't have to think about it and wouldn't have to feel that pain. And it took me a while in recovery to find a way to process my grief. I've been sober for 18 years, and when I found recovery, we were still grieving in the shadows. There was no formal grief support or informal grief support or kind of any support for people in recovery that were struggling with losses. And so I really had to kind of figure things out with my recovery community on how I was going to get through it, but then also every single person in recovery that I knew was also struggling with community-wide grief, and everybody had their list, right, of how many people that they had lost, and so all of us kind of came together and we started talking about how you get through this. I started working on harm reduction legislation and really advocating hard to get the 911 Good Samaritan law and the naloxone access law passed in Wisconsin. And that was how I was healing my grief, right? I had lost so many people that I love so much. And every single one of them, right? It was preventable, right? If we had naloxone back then, if we had a Good Samaritan 911 law and we could have called for emergency services without fear of arrest, right? Then a lot of my friends would have still been alive. Whenever I lose somebody, I feel things pretty intensely. I'm an emotional person, and so for the first couple of days, I lay in my bed and I watch bad reality television that I don't have to pay attention to, and I eat cheese fries, and I cry and I yell, and I get so angry at a culture and a system that has allowed so many people that I love to die. And then I add that person to my list of the people that I do things, all of the work that I do it in their names, I do it in their honor, to make sure that people who are coming into recovery have a better experience and a better chance at life than we did back then. It was hard. It was hard to keep loving and being vulnerable and putting myself out there and deeply connecting with people when so many people have died. I knew that to love was to also be vulnerable to that grief and to that pain. For anyone out there, if you are grieving, all I will ask you to do is not grieve alone. There is a community to support you. There is a community that understands. Please find your people. Find the people that you can trust. Find the people that you can talk with. Find the people that make you feel understood. Please don't grieve in the shadows. Come into the light and grieve together.